to this computer and we can start again. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to our next QA meetup. Unfortunately, because of the corona crisis right now, we cannot meet offline, but it has a bright side as well. The bright side is that we have a great guest today, who is Andrei Solntsev. And Andrei is a creator and the programmer of a cool framework, which I have presented many times here in Slovakia. The framework is called Selenite. So Andrei will show us a little bit more about this tool. But before that, please let me introduce you the agenda for today. The agenda will be very, very simple. We will have some welcome words, which we are already doing. Then I would like to present you Estonia, because I think it's a great country. And Andrei sent me some fun facts about this country. So I would like to present it to you as well. Then I would like to present you our guest today, as I already did, but I would like to ask Andrei then to say some sentence or two about himself, how he invented this tool, and then we move on to the main point of this meetup, which is a presentation. So I have asked Andrei to show you some basics of Selenide, but as well some advanced stuff, like, for example, the mobile testing of iOS or Android applications. Then, as usual, we will have some Q&A session, so you can ask Andrei. For this purpose, please use the Slido. You can join the event here. So right now it's the time to pick up your mobile phone or anything that could connect to the internet, and please join the page slido.com, enter the code QA meetup, and you can very easily join. And I have prepared a poll for you, the welcome poll, as we usually do. So please try to answer a simple question, and try to answer what is your current position in your job. Actually, there is not only a job, but there is also a one title, which is a student of software testing. Andrei, for you, we here in Slovakia, we have this Women Tester Academy, which is a very favorite offline course for women, which who we teach to join the IT world by software testing. So we have no developers. We have 3% of test lead. There is one developer, actually. Most of the people are manual or test automation guys. Currently, the majority are the manual testers, so they might be interested in this tool, because I think it's very easy to set it up. I have used the Selenide tool at workshop lately for ITYT. This is the organization which also organizes the Women Tester Academy, and it was so easy to set up, because the last time I have used pure Selenium, and it was hell just to set it up, just to download all the drivers and anything. Selenite does it out of the box for you.
Yeah, we'll try to show it.
Yeah, sure.
Project from the scratch.
Okay, so we have the majority of manual testers here, waiting for some more votes. We have 38 votes. We have 5% of the developers here. Selenite might be interesting for them as well. So thank you for this intro poll. As we can see, we have also some students of software testing. That should be probably the girls, as I mentioned. So thank you for that, and we can move on. Uh, I haven't mentioned yet the contest, which is a wheel of fortune, and wheel of fortune means that every participant of this meetup is or is integrated or is part of the challenge, part of the tossing. This is the wheel of fortune. Here are all the names of the people that have joined this meetup that have bought the free ticket on Eventbrite. There should be 90 people. There is almost more than a half of them, but the rules are very simple. I can click this wheel anytime during this meetup, and the person should respond within uh, 1 minute. If the person responds within 1 minute, he wins a free Selenite course. It's a course about the tool that Andrei will present today. And if he doesn't, he will be removed from this wheel, and we will do a next toss. So very simple rules. I can make it anytime. I can make it right now, but I wouldn't because we have some other things to do for now. But I will probably do it at the end. Mm, I don't know. It's a lottery, so what do you know? Okay, so that's the wheel of fortune. Thank you, Learn to Code, for having this opportunity. And I would like to mention also our QA Slack. So if you are not part of the QA Slack here in Slovakia, please, you are now able to join the community of testers. Slack is probably the best communication tool for solving problems, for solving issues. We have founded this Slack a year ago. If you are a tester or you are interested in the software testing, you can join this Slack and you can chat with other people from this field of testing. Andrei, do you have also this kind of communication tool in Estonia, or what is the QA community there?
In Estonia, actually, to be honest, I don't know any QA communities in Estonia.
Okay.
We have offline meetups in Estonia, Dev Club, Developers Club.
Okay.
Yeah, but about online, I even don't know. I know some big communities in Russia, in Ukraine. Yeah, I mostly in Belarus. There is a
Mhm.
lot of IT people. Not so many IT people in Estonia. Estonia is quite a small country.
Okay. Yeah, it is. We'll get to that. Actually, actually, thank you uh, because right now I would like to share with you some fun facts about Estonia. It will be very short. It will be very brief, but I think that Estonia or these facts are worth sharing about this country. So let me start with the first one. And the first one is that Estonia is actually the least religious country in the world. Only 14 people in Estonia claims that they are interested in religion. So how many churches are in Estonia actually?
You mean 40% of people?
14.
14%. Percent.
Right.
Yeah, not 14.
Yeah.
uh, I don't know how many churches we have. I think we have a lot of churches. It's not that we don't have churches, but it's
Uh-huh.
about people who didn't want to accept all this, new religion, and they, I guess, Estonians just want to save their original religion,
Mm-hmm.
which existed about 1,000 years ago. Uh, so we have churches, but people just do not really find them really important.
Okay. Okay. But on the other side, if there is a boom of religion people, there is a boom of the beer, right? There are over 2,000 sorts of craft beer. Uh, so what is your favorite type of beer?
Oh, craft beer, which is called IPA, I guess, IPA,
Uh-huh.
which,
Okay.
yeah.
We have also many craft beers here in Slovakia, but I don't think there are 2,000 of them.
Mhm.
Next one is
They are
pretty.
just
Next one is pretty interesting. It's about a great director, Christopher Nolan. I personally love this director. I love his trilogy about Batman, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk,
Yeah.
and all these crazy movies that will blow up your mind. Uh, but there is a new movie coming up, and it's called Tenet. It's a spy thriller, and part of it was filmed in Tallinn.
Yes.
So, can you say a bit more about that?
Yeah, they did it last summer, and actually it was a big trouble because they wanted to stop the one of the biggest streets in Tallinn
Mm-hmm.
for several weeks. So citizens were not happy about this. They had a lot of discussions, and
Mm-hmm.
government had to ask forgive us. They asked to forgive them for the inconveniences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we also had many of funny moments. For example, somebody take a photography of Christopher Nolan team
Mm-hmm.
who did pee, you know, on this large street in Tallinn.
Uh-huh.
So we had a lot of discussions with this ethic and so on.
Okay. Actually, that's kind of cool. I have seen that in the trailer that it is also filmed in Oslo, in the front of the opera.
Yeah.
I don't know Tallinn as well as I can say that, okay, this part of the movie it was filmed in Tallinn, but looking forward for this movie. If you haven't seen any movie from Christopher Nolan, please do, because he's a great director. Um, Next one is pretty interesting because Estonia uh, is pretty developed in terms of online services, and you can vote electronically from 2000 since 2005,
Yeah.
and there are many online services. Like you have written to me that you have registered your child
Yeah.
online right 1 hour after the birth, which
Yes.
is kind of crazy.
Yes.
Here in Slovakia, it takes a little bit more. Hopefully, it will get better. But one crazy thing that I have seen and I have read in your points about Estonia is that you can find a tree in a
Yeah.
forest using a mobile app, book it, and pay for it.
Yeah.
So how do they count the trees, or how do they actually mark the trees that they are that they are reserved? How does it work?
We have a special government department which takes care of forests.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of things actually. They build, rest areas inside forest and so
Mm-hmm.
on, including these trees. They go to forest and mark in some of their database mark trees and can be cut.
Mm-hmm.
And they just have a database of such trees. You can book one of them.
Database of trees. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
What do
Yes.
you put in such a database, like height of the tree and type of the tree? But I have to say that you need to have a database if you have such a big country covered by trees, which leads us to the next point, and that is that 50% of Estonia is covered by forests. So if you have 50% of a country covered by forest, you should have it somehow automated. And that's kind of cool thing to have. 50% of the whole country is covered by forests. But if you don't live a forest and you live in Tallinn, you can use the public transport, which is free. So how does it work? Because I think that if you have a free public transport, uh, there should be some homeless guys or whoever just living in a bus just for free. Can you maybe elaborate on that? How does it work?
Yeah,
Uh,
of course, this problem exists, but it's not so big because actually to enter the public transport, you need to validate yourself. Meaning that you need to have such a green card, electronic card, which you need to just things
mhm.
to put against the validator. So not everybody does have this card.
Mm-hmm.
You need to some kind of book it for yourself.
Okay.
It's free, but yes, you need some bureaucracy to do it.
So you need at least some identity card. That is
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Identity card.
My favorite point, which you didn't send me, but I have used it as the last time as I have presented Selenite, is that in Estonia, you have the highest number of supermodels per capita. And it's not about that Estonia had so much the population of Estonia is so low, but there should be plenty of pretty women in Estonia, right? Or how is it? How is it with the woman in your country?
I don't know. Actually, I think it's rather we have too few of people. Actually,
Okay.
I think it's English. Yeah.
Okay, with with few of people saying the count of citizens in Estonia is 1.5 million, and the tourists that are coming just to see to see and visit the country, there are 2 million people. So there are more tourists, more probably Korean tourists with the cameras hanging on their necks than the citizens.
Yeah.
So, and actually Estonia is, I have checked it, and Estonia is similar with the is similar to Slovakia, because the Estonia has 45,000 square kilometers and Slovakia has 49. So these countries are pretty similar, but in Slovakia lives 3 times more people actually than in your country, which is kind of interesting. You should cut some forests down to make to make place for more people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Almost the last point: 50% of marriages end up with divorce. It's just statistics, I think. Uh, and I think it's pretty natural, because either they do end up with divorce or they don't. So since chances are 50-50. Let's get to the last point. And the last point is that there is sometimes snow in June. So you can build a snowman in the middle of summer, right?
Of course, it happens very rarely.
Mm-hmm.
Last time it happened, I guess, 6 years ago
Mm-hmm.
in June. But actually, yesterday we had snow. Yesterday I had an unusual day because I went to my work. I went to office by electrical scooter, in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Between the day we had snow, and in the end of day I went to my home again with electrical scooter, and there was no snow anymore. So it was unusual day.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. We don't have even snow in winter, right? In winter here.
Well, this winter, we hadn't snow, yeah, actually.
I remember times when I was a kid and I was building a snowman. These times are gone. But this was the last point of our short presentation about Estonia. I think it's a great country, worth visiting. So if you are planning some post-corona trip, there are not so many people in Estonia, so you can use it, and you will be probably safe as well. So really recommend to visit this country.
Yes, welcome to Estonia. Probably one of good ideas is come to Estonia for some conference. We have some big conferences, including Nordic Tasting Days, which is about tasting, and few developer conferences as well.
I heard about these Nordic Tasting Days. We can get to that. We have some questions from the audience as well. Sure. Let me check. I will stop this live poll. We have some questions. Let me probably answer this one. Wheel of Fortune respond how? It's very simple. You should unmute yourself, say that you are here, and you are basically that you are here. That's it, right? I will say your name anytime, and you should respond that you are here. Probably even the better idea would be to turn on your video, and that's it. So this way, okay, like, models are beautiful, but can she write automation tests? There is one question like that.
I like this question, and I would answer it immediately.
Please do.
Please do. Actually, I'm not familiar with any models in that sense, but I know some really beautiful women who actually are developers who can write code and are really good in this.
Yeah,
So this is my.
I am the same. I have the same opinion. I don't think there is a correlation between the prettiness and the ableness to write automated tests. uh, okay. These are the questions that we should probably answer after the presentation. It will be probably more clear. So it's time. It's time to present you a little bit more. So I will give you now the word, but before that, let me introduce you in the way that we usually do, and let me put it there here. We usually do a poll, and the poll is about 2 truths and 1 lie about our guest. So together with Andrei, we have prepared a poll where you should mark one fact that you think it's a lie. So this poll is active right now. You can find it here. There are 3 facts about Andrei, and one of them is a lie. Please try to find it. The first one is that he ended up the last one at the Estonian Olympiad in informatics. He has a black belt in Aikido, or he is divorced 2 times. Keep in mind that the ratio of the divorce is pretty high in Estonia.
This is a tricky question.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we have Olympics in informatics in Estonia.
Yes, we have, and I guess you also have.
We did, but I don't remember really.
Yeah, we have.
And what was the task about?
The task in informatics. Actually, when I started working as a programmer, I discovered that actually working as a programmer is not absolutely similar to tasks in informatics. They are absolutely different. In informatics, we had tasks like given a set of cubes, you need to sort them so that in the beginning there are cubes with less angles, something like that. It's not real life tasks, absolutely. So, these are tasks that are easy to test, to automatically test quickly.
And okay. And how old were you where you were at this Olympics?
In school, it was in school, kind of ninth class up to 12th class. In school.
We have this kind of challenges also at the school, but I wasn't good enough to compete my classmates, which ended up working at Facebook, for example, one of them. So so I ended up teaching people.
At that time, it was about 20 years ago. We didn't have Google, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Twitter. So we actually didn't have any other alternatives than programming, doing Olympiads, informatics. Yeah. So now, actually, it's a problem for me because nowadays there is less people in schools who do development, who are practicing programming because they now have kind of more interesting alternatives like Facebook and Twitter and so on. So it's a pity.
Yeah. Back in my times, it was similar. Okay, I think the voting is over, and 51% of the people think that you are not divorced 2 times. Third of the people thinks that you have black belt in Aikido, and that is a lie. Then you don't have a black belt, and 19% thinks that the lie is that you ended up at the last place in informatics.
Yeah.
So, and one of the person changes his mind right now. Okay. Start with the informatics Olympics. How was it?
Yeah, it's true. In my first time in the final of Estonian informatics Olympics, I
Uh-huh.
got the last place. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a good, learning that you never should give up and go on. Yeah.
Okay. What about the martial arts? About Aikido? Do you have a
Yes,
black belt?
yes, I have black belt. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Okay. And so probably the lie is that you are divorced 2 times. So you are
Yeah, I divorced only once.
okay.
It's true.
Okay, so it's only statistics, right, in Estonia?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So thank you everyone for this poll. So Andrei is not divorced 2 times. He has black belt in Aikido. So be aware. And actually, he got the last place at the Olympics of informatics. But what do you know? If you got the last place in informatics, you can also invent your own test automation framework. Why not? Okay. Let me check the question from the audience.
Any tips on how to begin with Selenite? Exactly, I will start with this right now.
Okay. Do you have any recommended sources of information on how to start with Selenite?
Sure, I will show it in my presentation soon.
Okay, so you will show it. Um, can you please right now introduce yourself a bit? So we know that you have black belt in Aikido. We know that you got the last place in informatics. So please tell us more about yourself, how you started your career as a tester, as a test automation engineer, and how you ended up inventing your own framework.
Yeah, actually, I'm not a test automation engineer in that sense.
Huh?
Actually, I'm a developer, and I have probably about 20 years experience right now. I started with Turbo Pascal and Quick Basic and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just at some moment I realized that as a developer, I don't want to be afraid if some of my changes will break the code.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to have some guarantees that my code is working, and I started investigating testing.
Mm-hmm.
I could write unit tests, but it's not enough always. And I started investigating how to create some kind of integration test or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at some moment, I discovered Selenium WebDriver, and occasionally, created some helper functions for this, some wrapper functions. And at some moment, I decided to extract them from my working project and put to GitHub. And so the Selenite was born. Yeah.
Okay. So the Selenite was born just for a need to have a clean or reliable application, right?
Yeah, tests. Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you'll probably tell us a little bit more in your presentation. So we are
Sure.
getting to the main point of our meetup today, and that is the presentation about the Selenite, this great tool, how to start with it, and how to get to the pro. So right now, I would like to give you the word,
Sure.
Andrei. So you can share your
I
presentation.
will share my screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
I do. Probably the audience as well. If you don't see Andrei's screen, please share it to chat or remain silently for the rest of your lives.
Yeah, okay. I will share my presentation
Mm-hmm.
immediately. So don't be afraid to
Mm-hmm.
miss something. So, okay, good evening. My name is Andrei Solntsev. I'm from Estonia. You see a picture of Tallinn. This is the capital of Estonia behind me. Yeah, and I will introduce Selenide. This is a framework for automated tests. Yeah, this is another picture of Tallinn, and I will show some few more pictures of Tallinn. I just love the city and want you to love the city also.
Mm-hmm.
Today agenda is following. I will shortly introduce Selenide and show how to start with it. I hope we can do it project from the scratch. Then I will demonstrate some less known or some like more advanced features, how to create nice reports with Selenide and Allure, how to run tests in parallel, how to use Selenide for testing mobile applications. And in the end, I will share some vision of how we roadmap, how we will develop Selenide in future. So short introduction, what is Selenide? Selenide is free, open source library for writing readable tests, having concise API, and allowing you to create stable tests, which are not flaky, which do not fail time to time. Shortly speaking, you can find all the information about Selenide on the site, selenide.org. Also, we have in GitHub organization which has a lot of examples of Selenide combined with different tools like Allure and so on, and in different languages also. And we have Twitter handle jselenide. Unfortunately, handle Selenide was already taken by some nice girl.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to use jselenide, like jrebel and so on. And shortly speaking, how Selenide syntax looks like. I will show soon how to write it, but this is how it looks like. You have just a simple test. In order to open a browser, you just call command open. It's pretty easy. Then you need to find some element on a page using command method $, and when you can find it by name, by ID, by class name, and so on, a lot of different ways. And when you found it, you can call some methods on this element, kind of set value, send keys, click, double click, and so on. Plenty of methods. Yeah, for example, you can click it. And the most important part of the test, you need to verify that as a result, you got some expected result. Probably some element got some text or some class or disappeared and so on and so on. So Selenide syntax is readable. You just write as it's read in English. Should have text, should have class, should be visible, and so on and so on. We will see some few examples. Probably let's try to do it by myself. Let's create a new class from the scratch. For people that are not familiar, okay. Let's create a new project. For people are not familiar with programming or automation at all, you just need to install IntelliJ IDE. It's easy. You can just find it. IntelliJ, and that's easy. It's enough to download Community Edition. It's free, no problems. If you like Eclipse, it's also not a problem. You can use Eclipse. Okay, and we can try to start a new project. We just need to choose Java, nothing more. And from basic to pro, we can call it like this. Okay, now we have an empty project. We can use Maven and Gradle, whatever. It doesn't have any difference. First of all, we need, okay, initially IDE just needs to index stuff to download some dependencies. Now it is, we have an empty project, sorry. We have an empty project without any dependencies other than the unit. Now we need to add a Selenide dependency, and we can, oops, We can read it from selenide.org, quick start. It clearly says how to add dependency for Maven, for Ivy, for Gradle. Okay, Gradle, Linux, test compile. It has added Selenide dependency to the project. Now we can add some new class, for example, Google test, for example, the most simplest example which I can imagine. Okay, actually I had to move it to test. Boom, 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 boom. How to do that? Thanks. Here. Okay, actually it's not main source, but it's test source. And now we can create a new test. Test method. Something like user can search anything. I like to give test methods human readable names. In Kotlin, it's even better. In Kotlin, you can put spaces here, but yes, not in Java. So as I mentioned, first of all, we need to open a browser, and we have a really simple command for this, selenide.open. Google.com. Oops. NCR means that it's kind of international address without some language, kind of Estonian, or occasionally I sometimes get Italian language. Okay, surprise, surprise. We have opened the browser. Actually, under the hood, it does a lot of work there. It initializes WebDriver, it downloads WebDriver binary, it finds a path to your browser binary, and so on and so on. So we have just an open command, which is pretty simple. Now, using dollar command, we can find element by name. I already know that this element has name Q, and we now can start typing something into the search field. Something like that, and now we can press enter. The one beautiful thing about Selenite that you do not need to remember all these names of methods, all this API. You don't need to remember this. You just can put dot and start typing. In this case, I need to enter, to press enter. I can start typing enter, and IDE suggests automatically all possible methods. If I want to put value, for example, I can start typing val, and it suggests all methods: set value, get selected value, and so on. So it's really easy to use it. Okay, let's try to run it. We will open a browser and yeah, enter some word for searching. And now the last important part of the test, we need to verify the results. Probably the simplest check that we can do is to check that there are 10 results, for example. We can use method $2, which returns a collection of elements, all matching elements. And likewise, we have something like that. Inside some div with ID search, we have 10 results. Likewise, something like that. I'm not sure now, but we will see how to do it. So we should have size. You know, IDE automatically suggests all possible variants. It's pretty easy. Size greater than, size, and so on and so on. So let's try size. Likewise, there should be 10 results. And we even, okay, let's run it. This test should fail right now, likewise, because this locator was invalid. We will see how it fails. And here we will see which error message Selenide generates for you. Look, so the test is failing. Oops, this is a little bit spam. The test is failing with a clear error message, human readable message, which says that list size mismatch. We expected 10 results, but actually there are 0 results, probably because this selector is wrong. And here it automatically takes a screenshot of the failing test. And right now we will look at this one. This is page source, or in the moment where the test failed. And we are going to understand which selector would be the right selector. I guess the ID search was correct, but under this we need to find some correct selector. For example, I guess that this ID would be okay. It contains all the results. ID this is a result search kind of output, I guess. And inside of this we have a lot of these with class G. Now one G, another G, the third G. So I guess we should have 10 of Gs. By the way, we can also check that this header has text search results. Why not? Why not? If we find it useful, why not to check that header has this class? So let's try again. We will see if this time the test is red or green. We are typing. We are. It's going to fail, I guess. You can see that when the test fails, Selenite is a little bit slow. It waits for something, and I will explain it soon. Yeah, right now it happens to be 7 results, not 10 results. And I suggest that, yes, as we cannot control Google, it can unexpectedly give more or less results. We probably should to check something like that. Size greater than probably 5, for example. And this time it will be green. And probably we could also check the first result. As you remember, $2 returns all matching elements and $1 returns the first matching elements. And we can check that this element has something like that. For example, let's try to do it. Almost. It says UI tests in Java. Yeah? Almost the right text. Probably like this. And I would show another feature. We can check if a lot of conditions here, vararg in Java. You can check that we have text like this and also text like this. And we can also check not only text, but for example, we can check class if we find it useful. I'm not sure that it is useful, but probably we could check that this has class G. In this case, it's useless, but okay, just to show it. Probably we can check something else. We can check, for example, that it has such an attribute. It's useless right now, but just to demonstrate the feature. Now, this time the test is green. Cool, we have all right, the test is green. So let's back to my presentation. I hope I have answered to the question where to find the initial information about Selenite, selenite.org. We have quick start here, which is really quick. We have a video here, how to start writing tests in 10 minutes. And actually you can do it in 10 minutes from the scratch. Okay, let's continue with my presentation. Martin, do we have some question at the moment, probably?
Actually, we do, but these are more related to the pro stuff like machine learning and maybe Jenkins integration.
Okay.
Or also, so nothing related to the basic stuff right now.
Okay.
If you have any questions, dear audience, please do post them on slido.com, QA, Meetup, and we will answer them. as soon as they will pop up. But right now, no questions related to the basic stuff.
Okay, so I just encourage you to try to watch this video in 10 minutes. It's probably a very good start if you want to learn development or programming and so on. It's easy to start writing tests, especially UI tests, because it's natural for human to click to find elements. It's easy. So many of people are asking, why do we need Selenite? Because we actually have some similar frameworks. And first of all, we already have Selenium. Why do we have another wrapper or another library on top of Selenium? Why? And this is my answer. This is my answer. Did you notice the sign? I hope this quote sounds familiar. This is from one of my favorite movies. Did you notice a sign in front page of Selenium site saying that Selenium is a testing framework? No, you didn't notice. You know why? Because Selenium is not a testing framework. This is a short answer. In other words, Selenium is a low-level tool by definition for manipulating browser, for driving browser. This is a name, FEP driver of a browser. And this, by definition, this is not a testing tool. And Selenite is built on top of Selenium, and Selenite is high-level tool for testing. This is a difference. You will feel it soon. But it's a common practice that many people in the world use Selenium as a testing tool, as a testing framework, and it causes a lot of typical problems. We will look at this immediately. Yeah, when they use Selenium as a testing tool, they have problems. These are those typical problems with UI tests. UI tests often, especially UI tests built on top of Selenium, often have a lot of boilerplate code. They often suffer from timing problems, Ajax problems. They often get timeout. They often happen to be flaky tests. You need to write a lot of boilerplate code to take screenshots, for example, and so on and so on. And the very famous problem of Selenium is tail element exception, meaning that you found some element on the page, but at some next moment it disappeared from the page because of some part of page was reloaded or disappeared, and so on and so on. And great news is that Selenite was created exactly to solve these problems. Selenite, if you use Selenite, you do not have to write all this boilerplate code. You do not have any timing problems anymore. You do not need to take screenshots by yourself because Selenite does it all automatically. And almost always, or almost never, we will see the element exception. In theory, it's still possible, but very rarely. So you can free up your mind and concentrate on business logic. This is a primary value for me from Selenite, for every one of you. Because people who are skeptical, they often say that, so what? I also can solve all these problems. My framework also solves these problems. So what? I don't see any benefits. This is my benefit. You can solve it, but why? You do not need to waste your brain resources on solving these technical, boring problems. You can concentrate on your business logic. This is a main value for me. So, shortly said, Selenite makes your tests readable, stable, and fast. These are my major values from Selenite. And this probably answers one of questions in chat. Are we going to use some machine learning in Selenite? Probably not, because I really don't believe in machine learning. I studied in university, I know what it is, and I don't think that this is a good idea here in automated testing. Instead, I believe not in machine learning, but in human brain. I believe in human brain, and I want to create a tool which could free up the human brain of the boring details, of the technical details. And these are, for me, these are major primary values of Selenide: readable, stable, and fast tests. If at some moment I see that machine learning will do it, will help to make tests faster, probably, why not? But at the moment, currently, I don't see how machine learning can make tests faster or readable. I don't really see how to do it. Okay, and I will show right now how Selenide does all these 3 points, how it does readable, stable, and fast test. First of all, readable. How Selenide fights against a boilerplate code, and how it does it your code readable, how it makes your code readable. Yeah, Selenide provides concept syntax. So, for example, in order to find some header, you need to type h1 and that's it, $ and h1. Compared to Selenium syntax, Selenium WebDriver, you know, Selenium driver implementation looks like this, and this is much more long, if not ugly. It's also readable, of course, but it's long. Another example is if you want to check that something is visible, you just need to write human readable text. Blah should be visible. Compared to Selenium, which looks like this, it's even more longer. I really don't like it. And my favorite example, if you want to check that something is not visible, you would need to write something like that in Selenium. You need to put try catch to find elements and so on and so on. And by the way, if you have enabled implicit waits, then this code will just be slow. It will wait until you time out and only then catch exception. So yeah, in Selenide, this is just quick and readable. Yeah, so I like it. The next part, how Selenide fights against waitings. In other words, how Selenide can make your test stable. Often in our test, we want to wait for something. For example, we want to wait that some table is loaded, completely loaded, or some text which is loaded in the background is completely loaded, and so on. Or something is disappeared. There are several ways how to wait something in Selenium. In Selenium, we have 2 ways. The first one is implicit wait. I will not dive into details. Another way is explicit wait. This looks like this. You explicitly say that you want to wait until blah blah this event happens. And the third way is Selenide way. In Selenide way, you just need to write should be visible, and it will wait automatically for this event. I will describe it briefly soon. So I personally believe that the first way, implicit wait, is just poor. It's not sufficient. It can only wait until element appears, and it cannot wait until element disappears or get some text and so on and so on. So it's just poor functionality. It's not sufficient. Explicit wait is good in that sense that it's not poor. It can wait for pretty much anything, but it's verbose. You know, you need to write a lot of code. And Selenide way is just perfect. It's explicit, and it's human readable, and it's concise. So this is why I like the syntax. Actually, if you ask me, this syntax, these words should be are stolen from BDD, from RSpec, you know, Vatir, that language. Because before WebDriver appeared, we used Ruby for testing, and we wrote our test in Ruby and in Vatir. And we had their BDD language should be visible, should appear, and so on and so on. And so this syntax is now used in Selenide in Java. Speaking about the third way, the Selenide way, we call it smart waitings. So you just need to know that all these methods kind of should be, should have, and so on and so on. They all can wait. This one waits until element gets visible. This one waits until element gets some text, which is probably loaded with in background and so on. We even can check that something is not selected or even disappears or not visible, and so on and so on. All these methods can wait if needed. By default, they all can wait up to 4 seconds. And if you need, you can configure this timeout. So you can configure it either in system property or write in code. So you can put any other timeout which is specific to a project. I know that sometimes people put pretty long timeout, some kind of 2 minutes, and for me, it's just ugly. it's not, I cannot believe it. If something in your test can load for 2 minutes. And the last point, how Selenite fights against slowness. How Selenite makes your test fast. Selenite has few features which use JavaScript or some other tricks which can make your test faster than pure Selenium. And this is just one example of them. One of the slowest parts of tests in automation is the method send keys, which types some text into some field, some input field. And it's slow because it does type every character separately. It emulates all these input events. Press down, press key, press up, and so on. Or key down, key up, and so on. And it may be slow, especially if the driver is remote. And we have also problems that it sometimes doesn't work. For example, if this element is invisible, or it has some input mask, or it has some tricky JavaScript which auto formats it on the fly, and so on. So people often have flaky tests because of this send keys. And also, this send keys might not work in case of some complex JavaScript components like date picker, select picker, and so on and so on. And Selenite suggests its own solution using JavaScript. You can enable a fast set value option in Selenite. You can set it to true. And in this case, Selenite will set values to input fields. Oh, okay, yeah, these are 2 ways how to enable it. And in this case, method set value in Selenite will use JavaScript to set value, which is much faster. And let me demonstrate how it works. I have prepared one simple demo. Now you will see a huge form consisting of probably 100 fields, input fields, and you will see 2 browser windows, which will fill those fields. In the left, with typical send keys, and in the right with fast set value. See the difference. In the left, we have the default send keys method in Selenium, and in the right, we have set value method, which uses JavaScript. You see how big difference is. And especially if you have a lot of tests which type in a lot of values, it's really much faster. I like this demonstration. Yeah, once I introduced this option in one of my working projects, which is a real life intern punk, it did our tests about 30% faster, about 1/3 faster. It was incredible improvement at that time. So now you can choose, if you enable this mode, which I recommend to you, you can choose if you need fast typing, which is true in most cases. You just use method set value by default in all places. And if it doesn't work for some reason, you still can use the old good send keys, which still emulate all these events separately. Which is slow, but which can be useful is JavaScript for some reason is not working. I don't know, maybe it sometimes can happen. Or if you really need to type slowly, for example, if you need to test auto-completion or auto-formatting and so on. so I suggest by default should be set value, and sometimes if needed, you can still use end keys. And this is just one of examples how Selenide can make a list faster. We also have some other options too. For example, you can click with JavaScript, you can upload files with JavaScript and something like that. Let me go on to the next feature, which is quite fresh feature. It appeared quite recently, which is Shadow DOM. I will just briefly introduce some of features. There is a lot of them. I just picked up some of them, which probably could be interesting. This feature is important because it's widely used. If you see at a source of many web pages, you will see something like that. Shadow root, shadow root, shadow root, blah. And the problem is that this shadow root feature is actively used, widely used in nowadays web applications. Many of frameworks do use it, something like React and all these frameworks do use it, but it's not supported by WebDriver. Since WebDriver is a standard, it's not developing really fast. At some moment, probably it will support shadow root, but not now. And again, the only way to find some elements with shadow root is using some JavaScript tricks and so on. And we have implemented it in Selenide. So surprisingly, when we delivered this feature, people were really happy about this. It was a surprise for me. And now you can find elements in shadow root using Selenide method shadow CSS and do something with this, either click or check its text or value and so on and so on. You can even find another shadow element inside of some other shadow element and so on. Yeah, this is shadow. This is just one of examples where we, as a wrapper for Selenium, try to give users more functions than pure Selenium. We try to solve problems of real people. Do we have some questions right now, or we can go on to the next topic?
We can check some of them. I will briefly check on these questions. We have plenty of them, actually. One of them is about, let me check. I have seen probably, okay. Let me check. One of them was probably about test reports. I will now share my screen.
Test report is actually my next slide, yeah?
Yeah, it was about reporting. So, is it possible to generate some test reports with Selenide? So we can answer this question right away. Then we have some questions about BDD, like Gherkin language. So we can go through these questions probably after the presentation, but let's focus now on these reports.
Okay, yeah. Reports. People often ask if we can generate some reports with Selenide. Yeah. My personal belief is that actually you do not need any special reports in test automation. Many of people are not agree with me, but I personally believe that it's not really needed. I mean that JUnit and TestNG already can generate quite good test reports. Also, Maven or Gradle or Jenkins do generate test reports. And I believe that you do not really need anymore. It's sufficient to find all the information from there. Additionally, Selenide will add, as you saw already, will add error message and screenshot and page source to the error message. So it's sufficient to find the cause of the problem. It's sufficient. But often, yeah, unfortunately for me, unfortunately for me, people often want to create some beautiful reports, nice reports. I personally believe it's not needed, but well, okay, we will see how to do it. Out of the box, Selenite provides a simple report, which prints out all steps that were executed during the test. For me, it was needed not for reporting, but as a profiler, because it prints out the duration of every comment. And this way we can find out which of comments were slow, or which probably took too much time. This is one of example where I could optimize my test, but just removing the first line. When I introduced this feature, then I found in my real project that in beginning of every test, we did 2 open comments. And the first one of them is just useless. I removed this line and made my test much faster. So this is a text report, which is provided by Selenide by default. And if you still think that you need some rich report, okay, how to do it? How to do it? To enable this report, you need to add rule or listener. We have support for 3 major testing libraries: JUnit 4, JUnit 5, and TestNG. Unfortunately, unfortunately, to create such a report, we need to know when the test started and when the test ended. And unfortunately, there is no generic way how to get it now. We unfortunately have to write some specific code for JUnit and TestNG and so on. So we have support for 3 major libraries. This is an example for JUnit 4. You need to add a rule. You need text report provided by Selenide, and you can also configure this rule. You can, by default, it makes prints out the report only for failed tests, but if you need, you can also configure it to print out reports for all tests, for succeeded tests too. And if you still think that it's not sufficient, then you can integrate Selenide with some of tools that can generate reports. I do not think that Selenide should do it because there are already some other tools that can do it. One of them, which is quite popular nowadays, is Allure, which is created by my friend.
Ah, okay. That's great.
And Allure has integration with Selenide. To do it, you just need to add this line in the beginning of your test in some kind of before all log. Selenide logger dot add listener. And this Allure listener is provided by Allure, and it will generate some more nice report for you. And we have a working example in GitHub, as I mentioned at GitHub/Selenide examples. We will see a lot of examples here, including this one. Probably let's try to click this. Oops. Let's try to open this URL, GitHub, Selenide examples. Let's find their Allure, Allure JUnit. And we can try it right now. I have checked out this project locally on my computer. Let's go to that folder. We'll try it MVN test. This project also has an example of test for internet bank. It's kind of example, but it's similar to the tests that we are actually doing in our real life, in our real project. This is one of internet banks that actually I personally did develop. This is kind of realistic UI test for this internet bank. It does some payments, some transactions, and so on. And it will fail, I guess. It should fail now. Some of tests should fail, and we will see reports of these failed tests. Now it fails. Now it waits for something that doesn't happen. Okay, the test fails. And if we want to see reports, we just run this thing in command line. In real life, it's typically generated in Jenkins, and you can see this report in Jenkins. But you can also try it locally. This is how Allure reports looks like. You will see two tests here. This was a green test, and all steps that were executed during this test. And we see a red test here. You see some tests are ignored, and some tests are green, and one of tests is red. We can see error message here, and we can see screenshots here. So Allure is nice. This is true. This is nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure that it's really needed, but okay. Okay, if you want it, you can get it. So this is how to integrate with Allure. The code is pretty simple. So as I mentioned, you just need to add this line in the beginning of a test, and that's all. Mm-hmm. Probably the most trickiest part, which dependencies do you need to add? This is already, you can find this information in the tutorial of Allure itself. But yes, you need to add a couple of dependencies, blah. You need to add something like that, some reports, some Java agent. For some reason, these reports are complex. I don't know why it should be so complex, but yes, some aspect J, oh shit, for me, this is just complex, too complex. Things need to be simpler. Mm-hmm. This is my personal belief. But okay, you can do it if you need it. This is a couple of Allure. So let's go to the next topic, parallelization of tests. Do we have some question about Allure or reports?
We had some question about implementation of Selenide tests into Jenkins.
We'll do it soon. Yeah, we will do it soon. I will show it.
Mm-hmm. There is also one question: if Allure is similar to Jenkins, you can maybe bring more light into this topic.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, Allure is not similar to Jenkins. Jenkins can run your tests, while Allure can generate nice reports for your code. What is Allure? Yeah. In other words, by default, Allure is a framework which provides you some annotations. You can put something like that, such annotations to some of your methods, to some of your page objects, and it will intercept those annotations using this aspect J block and generate nice HTML report from your tests. So you can do it on Jenkins, or you can do it locally, as I demonstrated right now. So not, Allure is not Jenkins. Allure can be used on Jenkins.
So basically Jenkins collects all the Allure reports, because for example in Jenkins you can have also a plugin for Allure. So if you want to have this kind of nice reports, you can have it as well in Jenkins, which is just a trigger for your jobs, and it collects all your data, and you can use this Allure tool, reporting tool, also in Jenkins.
Yes, right. Probably this is Jenkins. I can just show this is Jenkins. Mm-hmm. It has a lot of fields. Some of them are red. Probably I can occasionally click some of them and see some of failing tests. This is a report generated by Jenkins or by Gradle probably. And as you see, its text is not kind of beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's text, but for me, it's good enough. I can find all the information from here. Stack trace. In case of failing UI tests, I can also find screenshots here. For me, this is enough. Okay, probably here can see some failing tests with screenshot. Unfortunately, we do not see because of some ugly bug in Selenite right now. Not in Selenite, in this testing framework. Probably I can find another one. No, here we have failing unit tests. So, in other words, if we would use here, okay, here we do see some reports from Selenite. You know, it says that element should have action, blah blah. Actually, it has another action. Here is screenshot. You see So this is the reason why it's sufficient for me. I can click screenshot here. I can see the screenshot, no problems. But if we used Allure, we would see a beautiful report here. Not like this one, but like this one.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, it's not a big difference. But yes, if you like this beautiful report, you can use it in Jenkins too.
So Allure can be integrated in Jenkins. Okay,
Yes.
I think this question is now answered. Okay, we can move on.
Okay, move on. Parallelization. People often want to run tests in parallel if you have really a lot of tests. My personal recommendation is that before you start parallelizing tests, try to optimize them in another way. Try to speed up setup of data, try to reuse some data and so on and so on. The parallelization is the last one. But well, if you need to parallelize, run tests in parallel, it's easy. Because Selenide holds a separate browser for every thread. Meaning that it's safe to run one test which does its own actions and another test in parallel which does its own actions. They can run simultaneously at the same time because they run in different threads, and the yellow ones will use one browser and blue ones will use another browser. They do not interfere, they do not break each other. So the simple answer is it's easy with Selenide. You can do it, no problems. Just one remark from me, from my experience. People often run tests in parallel threads, and it often causes problems. For example, when people have static variables, parallel threads can change the same static variable at the same time, and they can conflict with each other. Then people often do use some shared access to some data, to some static maps and variables and so on, and then it also can break some tests occasionally. It can cause flaky tests. Yeah, people need to put synchronized keywords somewhere, or in other ways they need to prevent some concurrency bugs. So it's hard thing. That's why my personal recommendation to run tests much easier is to run tests not in threads, but in processes, in parallel processes. Meaning that every test runs it in its own Java process. Meaning that it has its own memory, its own static variables, and so on. So they do not conflict with each other. They cannot influence each other. And it's pretty easy how to do it. In case of Maven, you just need to add one line to the POM XML, this fork count, saying that how many forks or how many processes will you use to write tests. In this case, I will run tests in 3 parallel processes, which do not interfere with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's safe to run. Yeah, why I personally do not like Maven, because you need to write so many lines of code. It's a bloody Maven for me. That's why I like Gradle more. In case of Gradle, it's just one line of code, just one syntax. Max parallel forks in 5 processes we run tests. In case of Gradle, it's much more easier for me. Okay, this is just my personal recommendation about parallel tests.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some questions about parallel tests? Because it just seemed so easy for me that I don't know how to tell something more about it.
We have one question related to the reporting with Selenite and Cucumber, but we have another question with BDD as well, so we can probably answer that afterwards. How can you, for example, implement the BDD Gherkin language or Gherkin framework, for example, such as Cucumber?
I will do it quickly right now. It's easy question. Selenite examples.
Okay.
GitHub Selenite examples. We have a sub-project Cucumber, which shows how to use Selenite together with Cucumber.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy. Again, you just import Selenite and Cucumber, and this project is up to date. I executed it recently, and yeah, this is typical Cucumber definitions or BDD definitions. All this given, when, then, all this bullshit. And you just see that it's not a problem at all. You use Cucumber keywords together with Selenite methods like open and dollar and presenter, and they do not break each other. They can work together. In more general, Selenite can work together with pretty much everything. It can work with any testing framework, any browser, and so on and so on. So it's kind of general framework. People often ask also, can they use Selenite to test some React.js application or Vue.js application and so on? Yes, you can. Or Angular application. Yes, you can use Selenite to test all of them. So this automatic weighting thing solves all these problems.
So you can easily set up a project with Cucumber, and basically these are two separate tools. So on the top of everything is Cucumber with its nice reports, and under the hood there is Selenide, which implements these steps, like maybe any other tool would do.
Exactly.
Okay.
I know that actually in practice people do have some problems with Cucumber when they do use some more complex setup. Kind of, they start using Cucumber rules which do initialize things in different threads. Cucumber can initialize page objects for you, and it sometimes happens quite strange in a strange manner. Sometimes Cucumber has different threads, and it's hard to understand what happens. So generally, I don't really believe in BDD, and especially in Cucumber. So this is my personal recommendation, not an official, but I don't recommend to use such things. I personally think that they do not solve any real problems.
Okay. There is also a question, what about Selenide plus Cucumber for reporting? For example, in Jenkins, you have this nice reporting tool for Cucumber, but this is depending on the tool like a Cucumber, right?
Yeah, again, you can use Selenite with Cucumber, and Cucumber will generate a report for you. It can work, yes, why not? Yeah.
So Cucumber is on the top, and the Cucumber plugin installed in the Jenkins takes care about the, for example, the reporting.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question. Is Selenide somehow helping with investigating failed test? So investigation of a failed test in Selenide, I find it painful to find what exactly failed, mainly with remote runs. So how it is with Selenide and remote runs and debugging of failed tests, for example?
Okay. Yes, we have few features to debug failed tests. Let me show it like this. Things. The first feature is automated screenshots, which I already demonstrated. The second feature is automated page source, which I also demonstrated. And for me, in most cases, it's enough to find out what happens. Sometimes you also need a video of tests. I have a big experience with flaky tests, and I have special presentations about flaky tests. Video is not provided by Selenite, but I can recommend one another library. Yeah. This video recorder, I can recommend it. It's really easy to start saving video from your tests. You just need to add one rule to your tests. Again, it supports three major frameworks, JUnit 4, JUnit 5, and TestG. And you just need to add video annotation to your flaky test that you need to investigate, and it will save the video. It's pretty easy to use it. I can show, for example, one video. Okay, we probably do not have so much time. but yeah, shortly said, it's easy to use video this way. Probably I will add this link to my presentation so we can share this link later. One more option from Selenite is a configuration. You can set the setting, and in this case, Selenite will not close the browser after test failure. It will leave open browser, and you can investigate it. You can open it, click it, find things from the browser. Of course, it's only useful when you run the browser locally on your computer, not remote. And that's it right now. And we actually have plans to make more here, and I will talk it in the end of my presentation.
Okay. We have 10 questions left, so we so people are pretty interested in this tool. What else have you prepared for us?
I have prepared these topics. Probably, if you don't, we can skip it if you need. How to extend Selenite, how to use different browsers, how to use custom WebDriver, how to use page objects, how to use Selenite for testing mobile applications, and roadmap of Selenite.
There was a question about mobile testing. Actually, the question was, let me find. Hi, simple noob question. Is Selenite recommended for mobile apps, both iOS and Android, automation, and deeper testing? For example, Firebase, Heroku, and so on. So maybe we can move on with the mobile apps testing since we have limited time. But I think people are interested pretty much in mobile testing nowadays, so we can move on to this topic.
Yeah, sure. Let me continue with mobile testing. I will add one more slide. The mobile testing can be of one of two kinds, of one of two ways. One is kind of low-level testing or native testing, and another is kind of remote testing. I don't know exact terms, it's just of shortly said. Native testing, this is tools like Espresso, like iOS X, something like that in US. These are tools provided by Android and iOS natively. And this is kind of low-level testing. People often say that they are created probably for developers, but it should not be true always. But yeah, it's kind of low-level testing. I personally prefer probably those tests because they're closer to the source code, and they are probably faster and probably more stable. But I know that many people in the world actually use remote testing. Okay, in other words, this is a white box testing for mobile application. You need to have source code of the application to run these tests, to write these tests. And this is in some sense a black box. You only need to have binary of the application, kind of APK file. And many people do use this testing, and the most widely used tool is Appium in this area. Appium is a tool which implements WebDriver protocol, and it can drive both Android and iOS application remotely. This is widely used, but it has some disadvantages. For example, probably it's kind of slow, probably it's kind of unstable. But currently, Selenite supports this way. Currently, Selenite has integration with Appium, and I will show this way right now. In some future, probably we'll try to integrate Selenite with these tools, but this is in future. Right now, we have this one. And I will show how to do it. Selenite can be integrated with Appium, and I will run this test so you can see how it looks like. We have two ways. The first one is simple, and in most cases I recommend this one, and I will show it. This is without annotations. A really working example you can find on, again, Selenite examples / Selenite Appium. And the advanced or more complex way is using annotations. And we have a dedicated project which integrates Selenite with Appium. Unfortunately, these two projects have the same name, so it's too easy to mix them. The first one is simple one, without annotations. I recommend this one. How it looks like. Again, the test looks exactly as in case of web tests. You use $ to find some element inside a web application, and you can call click or set value and so on these elements. As you see, you can find elements by some Android class names and check that this element has some text and so on. This is easy. And this is a working example from GitHub. Let me show how to run them. What should we have? We need to have a working Android emulator. This is the first one, and we need to run Appium server. Unfortunately, Appium server is as a Node.js application. I really don't like JavaScript. I don't like Node.js for many reasons. But yeah, you just need to run Appium server. Yeah. Oh shit! This is one of the reasons why I don't like it. We have some conflict here. I need to kill my previous Appium server. For some reason, it didn't die automatically. Okay, now I started Appium server. It actually executes some software inside Android emulator, and it waits for incoming commands there, and it listens on this port by default. And now Selenite. Let me make it bigger. This is a simple test. It finds digit 2, clicks it, find plus sign, clicks it, and so on. Let's run it. And we should see some calculator here. Calculator is the simplest application which is built in Android emulator even. And if everything is okay, we will see calculator here. Oh yes, it clicks 2 plus 2 equals, okay, good, great. We have a green test. So as you see, in simplest case, it's easy to use Selenite to test Android application. You do not need to add any additional dependencies beside Selenite and Appium. Let me show the dependencies. You only need to add Selenite and Appium, Java client, and that's it. So it's enough. I also have one more advanced example, which has some advanced actions like long press and touch and drag and drop and so on. If we are lucky enough, we will see those tests also right now. Oh, yes, it will try to drag and drop some circles onto other circles. Blah, blah. It works. Cool. So it's a simple one, and yes, you can use it. As you see, some to do in my project, integration of Selenite with Appium is not ideal. We have some to-dos here. We need to improve some things. But yes, generally it's working. This works. And we have a question. People often have a question. Can we reduce test code between platforms, between web tests, Android tests, and iOS tests? And the answer is yes, but we need to use the advanced options, Selenite integrated with Appium using annotations. If you use this project, you can create a page object and mark all fields with specific annotations. Find by is Selenium annotation for web tests. Android find by is for Android, and this one is for iOS tests. And this way, you can initialize page object, which is initialized depending on platform. In Android, it uses this annotation. In iOS, it uses this annotation. And you can reuse this page object in your tests. It will run equally in iOS and Android, and if you wish in web. I'm not sure that it's always practical. Okay, this is just demonstration that you can have more elements with such annotations. I'm not sure that it's always practical, and I'm not sure that it's always true that your application has exactly the same elements and exactly the same flow in iOS and Android. I'm not sure, but if you have, if it's true for you, you can use such page object, and Selenite Appium project provides you method screen, which creates an instance of page object using all these annotations, all the reflection, all these page factories, and all this magic. And you just have a page object, and you can use these fields, mark it with annotations. So the test itself is quite easy.
Mm-hmm. We have a one comment or one let's say note from our audience.
Mm-hmm.
You have too many great topics in your presentation.
Sorry for that.
Actually, it's worth sharing. So people are asking if you could share the whole presentation afterwards, so they can repeat it and listen it or read it once again.
Sure.
I have to mention that the whole meeting is recorded, so I will send the link then to the participants. But I think that we have reached our time. We have
Mm-hmm.
also too many questions from our audience.
Mm-hmm.
You have too many great topics like mobile automation or how to begin with Selenite, the earlier test reports, and so on. But there are also some questions that maybe are worth answering. Can we move on to these questions?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Andrei, thank you very much for your presentation. As you can see, Selenide is a great tool, framework that works out of the box. It works for mobile testing as well as for web automation. I have used it by myself too many times. I have tested modern frameworks, modern pages like Kiwi and so on. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I would like to go through the questions since they are pretty interesting. What would you say?
Sure.
Okay, so can I share my screen right now?
Yeah,
Will it
sure.
be okay? Okay. And okay, share and okay. So we can move on to the questions from the audience, and then we will have the Wheel of Fortune after we answer some of them. There are two questions about Cypress.
Mm-hmm.
So hello, my JS developers are forcing me to use Cypress. It's not based on Selenium, but it basically solves the same set of problems. How does it compare? So we
Okay,
have
yeah,
two
good question.
questions.
And another question was about, isn't more natural to write UI tests in JavaScript? It's probably it's natural for somebody, but it's not natural for others. If you like JavaScript and if you can write a test in JavaScript, why not? Then it's a good option. Yes, there are plenty of frameworks in JavaScript. I personally don't like JavaScript. This is my personal feeling. But if you like, why not? If they are forcing you to use Cypress, why not? Actually, Cypress is quite fresh tool, and it looks promising. I like the idea, but you need to know that Cypress has some limitations. As much as I know, Cypress can only run tests locally on your computer, and even something like only inside the same process or inside the same loop, something like that, So it has limitations. It cannot do some things. If it's okay for you, if you're okay with these limitations, why not? Cypress is lightweight and fast, and it has great tutorial. I can name one thing that where Cypress, I guess, is not okay. If you need to run tests remotely, if you have really a lot of tests, and you need to have a farm of browsers, probably kind of grid of browsers, and you need to run them remotely on AWS, Amazon, or something, Source Labs or browser stack. Then, as I much as know, Cypress is not okay. It can run only locally. This is where the Selenium WebDriver has its power. This is where WebDriver is powerful. It can drive browsers remotely.
Okay, thanks you for comparing these two tools. That probably answers us also the question about programming language.
No, about programming language, I can answer that we have ports of Selenite to several languages: JavaScript, Python, .NET. So you can use these ports if you like Selenite IDE.
So you can use Selenide, right, also for the JavaScript, right?
Yeah, it's not Selenite itself. It's port of Selenite. It's another library which created by my friend, which is similar to Selenite but in JavaScript. So you can. There are a few links in the end of my presentation.
Okay. So Selenide itself won't be available for other languages, but right now it is kind of available, right?
Yeah, but Selenite is available in all JVM languages. You know, Kotlin, Scala, Groovy. You can use Selenite. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to the machine learning. You mentioned that you don't like machine learning and this artificial intelligence stuff, and all the hype about it. So can you elaborate on that one? Why wouldn't you recommend it, or why wouldn't you use it? And if there will be a Selenide support for this kind of testing?
Actually, if somebody has a good idea how to use machine learning in Selenite in automation, why not? Welcome. Please suggest your idea. You can always create an issue in GitHub and describe your ideas. Why not? It's always welcome. Just right now, I don't see any good application of machine learning in tests in Selenite. I just do not see. I tend to think that this is more of a hype. I see some instruments, some tools that use machine learning hype for selling themselves. For example, one of tools is, or even a couple of tools that claim that they use machine learning to analyze failing tests. They strive to make a test more stable using machine learning, but I'm skeptical. I'm too old for this shit. I don't really believe that machine learning can really do it. I think that this is more like a hype. But if you have ideas, you're welcome. Let's discuss it.
Okay. Have you tried maybe Report Portal IO? This is AI powered.
This is one of them. Yes, I haven't tried it, but as much as I know what it does, it tries to analyze failing tests with machine learning and tries to find some patterns. Like this test is always failing, meaning that this is a bad test, and this test fails time to time, meaning that probably it's a good test. For me, it should be black-white. Test is good, it's green. If not, it's red. And for me, this is not a solution for problem, but this is a kind of, they are just make face like they were solving some problems, but actually it's kind of just, creating some look that probably something is better, but actually it's better. It's hard to explain. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. We have a deeply technical question. Is it possible to go through a file selection dialog of input type file? So
sure.
probably,
I have a simple answer. Selenite have option, so have methods upload file. You know, you put dollar punct upload file, and it will upload your file. And you can even upload multiple files. So you do not need to bother with dialog. Dialog is a pain in the ass. Just use method which doesn't open this dialog.
Okay, so you can easily upload the file, and I have also tried to how to download the file. It works very, very easy. I have downloaded some PDF with some contract for
Yep. Again, $.download will download your file.
So Selenide, it has some native methods to do so.
Yeah, there is black magic behind these methods. This is really good.
Where is WebDriver initialized actually? How to set different browser than Chrome to run my tests?
Okay, this the answer is on my slides. We just picked them today, but you can look at from slides. Yeah.
So there is also a section about how to implement your own WebDriver, how to implement your, for example, any driver that you are used to, for example, or if you want to integrate Selenide with, for example, BrowserStack or any other external farm, it's easy to do so. Okay, so you can find it in the slides. Hello, did you try other similar solutions first, like Helium or Germanium? How does it compare?
No, I haven't used Helium or Germanium. I have tried some other tools like HTML Unit, Fluent Linium. So not Helium or Germanium. I have not used them. How can I compare Selenite with some other frameworks? The answer is simple. I do not take them as concurrents or competitors. You know, I do take them as similar to us. We all together solve the same problem. If Helium is a good framework which supports stable and fast tests, which supports the same values as Selenite, it's great. But many frameworks that I see, it's actually a big surprise for me why there is so many frameworks that actually do not try to make your test stable or fast. They actually do solve all these different problems, which are not really problems for me. For example, all this BDD, all this reporting and so on. For me, there are not important problems to solve.
Maybe my personal question, I will cheat on Slido. What do you think about BDD? Why do you think maybe it's not worth, let's say, using? What's your opinion?
I have a separate presentation about BDD called Bullshit-Driven Development.
Once again, please.
Bullshit-Driven Development.
Okay, can you share it as well?
Sure, but it's in Russian, I guess.
Okay.
We can make another time a separate meetup.
Okay, that will be interesting.
Shortly said, I like the idea behind BDD. I really would like to live in the world where it works, where the business customer do write tests together with developers, but in reality, it doesn't work. In reality, business doesn't write any tests. And in reality, BDD tools just create more hassle for automation engineers. Engineers just need to write more code, more steps, more boilerplate, and it doesn't solve any problems.
Okay, let's have two more questions, and then we can toss the wheel of fortune, and we can spin it. What is the difference between Robot Framework and the Selenide Framework?
It's a big difference. A Robot Framework, I actually do not have a lot of experience with it, but as much as I know, it tries to click things. It tries to find some rectangle or some square and click it, something like that. And while Selenium uses WebDriver protocol to find element by ID, by class, this is as much as I know. No more experience with robots.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Can you pick the last questions for us, please? The last one.
Yeah, Cypress doesn't have a direct support for Shadow DOM. Sorry, it disappeared. Okay, this first one. You have to use plugin which has limited amount of commands only. That's the biggest limitation for me. Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, basically it's not a question. I just wanted to add it to your discussion with the other guys.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the knowledge. Actually, I didn't know it. Okay, good to know. Yeah. But yes, as I know, Cypress has some limitations. So it has some limitations, you know.
As every tool does, right? There is a discussion what is the best testing tool based on Python or JavaScript currently. JavaScript is currently probably, from my point of view, the most preferred language because people think that if the web page is written in JavaScript, you should use a JavaScript tool. Okay, so the time has come. The time has come to toss, to spin the wheel of fortune, and thank you, Andrei, for your answers. Thank you for your time. Thank you for a great presentation. Thank you for a great tool that you have invented. It is so great that somebody tried to record a online course about it, and the first prize of this meetup is a online course about Selenite. I will briefly go through it. So if you want to learn Selenite from scratch, you can always get to learn to code even if you don't win. So the first prize today is the online course about your tool. Actually, there are two courses about Selenite. First one is this one, and the second one is about the integration with browser stack. I can shortly show it. So this is the second one. It's about browser stack, it's about JUnit and Unirest. So these are the two online courses, and we are tossing and we are playing for the first one. So the time has come. The time has come to spin the wheel of fortune. The rules are pretty simple. The wheel will pick some name, and the person should respond within a minute that he is here. So let me spin the wheel right now. The winner is Yaroslav Padivi for now. Yaroslav, are you here? Hopefully he's here.
Probably it's just muted. Often people cannot find this unmute button.
Okay, let me check in the Yaroslav. Okay, he's probably not here, Yaroslav. So unfortunately, the wheel of fortune is full of unfortunate people. So I will remove him from the list because he's not responding. Okay, and let me spin the wheel one more time. There are 90 people, so we have plenty of time. Okay. Martin Zuzic. Martin Zuzic, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you are the winner of a free Selenite.
Thank you very much.
I will contact you with a code how to activate this 100% sale. So congratulations, Martin.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy Selenite, which is a great framework. Andrei, thank you very much for a great presentation. I think that people are pretty interested in this topic, in this test automation framework. Unfortunately, we didn't have so much time to cover all the specialties of this framework, all the details, but I think this presentation is worth sharing. So please send me the presentation afterwards so I can spread it to the population. And thank you very much. I think it deserves one more meetup, maybe after several months or after a month, and we can meet again. And you can show us maybe some news about Selenite. Basically, what is the second step, or what is the next step for Selenite? What is the future of this tool?
The next feature that we're actually working on right now, it's already implemented actually, and we are testing it, is export from Selenium IDE to Selenite code. You know, Selenium IDE is a standard tool where you can play in records. You can click some buttons and it will generate test code for you. So we are now testing this feature. It's already completed.
Okay. I have seen that Selenium IDE is completely reworked. This dinosaur was killed and reborn into new fresh clothes. So fingers crossed to this new feature. Thank you again very much for this presentation. Thank you for your time. And I'm looking forward to meet you again.
Thank you. Actually, I didn't expect that we will have so many questions. And from one point, it took some time from slides. From other point, it's actually great to see so much interest in you. So it's really nice for me. Yeah, thank you.
And how is the weather in Estonia right now? Is it snowing outside?
No. It's sunny. We have a warm weather today.
It's sunny. And one question that needs to be asked: how is the quarantine in Estonia? You have few people than here in Slovakia. Is it so strict there?
It was quarantine for about 2 months, but not anymore. Actually, I went to my office yesterday, first time, and we are working in the office now, and it's getting better, it seems so. But still, children are not going to school this year.
Okay. This school year or the whole year until the end of the year?
School year, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's 1 month. Okay. Andrei, thank you again very much for your time. Thank you everyone for joining this meetup, and looking forward for next one. If you have any topics, if you have any comments, please always do so. You can contact me on the QA Slack, where you can join the QA community here in Slovakia. So if you are interested in software testing, test automation, or anything nearly related to testing, you can join there. And if you have a good topic or good idea for a speaker for the meetup or for a test cafe, whatever, please contact me and we can set up such a meetup. Andrei, thank you very much that you have accepted my invitation. Thank you very much that you have found time. Please share the presentation so I can spread it. And have a nice evening to Estonia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.